All right, welcome back to part 3 of our OnShape tutorials for 1.2.5. In this video, we'll be creating a new shape, and I kind of showed you that in the last video. In part 2, we're going to be creating this. So in the last video, we made this fancy shape. We learned about the fillet and chamfer tools. So if you didn't watch that one, please go back and watch that one first, and we'll finish by creating this shape. So a couple things I'm noticing, just thinking about the strategy of how I'm going to model this in OnShape. I'm seeing a couple cylinders, so I can create a cylinder. And then just like we did in the last video, we can extrude a rectangle off of the top of a cylinder. So we'll do something like that. And then we can actually extrude a cylinder off the top of a rectangular prism. So we're going to do this in a couple steps. And then we know from a previous video that we can cut holes. It looks like we've got 3 different holes with a diameter of 0.25 that are going through our rectangle. So a lot of things going on, but just follow the video step by step and I will guide you through this. So our dimensions in this one are in inches, so we may have to change back because in our last video we changed everything over to millimeters. So before we change anything, let's create a new tab. We're going to create a Part Studio. OnShape will take a second to create that. Let's double check our dimensions. So that was under this menu, workspace units. Looks like it's still in millimeters. So let's change that back to inches. Click the green check. That way we won't have to exit our sketch in the middle of it. So in order to create these cylinders, we can either do a revolve like we've been doing, or we can just sketch a circle and extrude it up, which I'm going to change it up. We've practiced revolve a couple times. I'm just going to do a simple circle, extrude it up, and go from there. So the radius, or the diameter of that circle is going to be 1.25 inches. I'm going to center it at the origin just to keep things easy so that I have a nice reference point. So let's go ahead and do that. Remember, 1.25 is our diameter. So we'll create a sketch. We're going to do it on the top view so that when we do our sketch looking at it from the top view, it's just a circle. So let's hide our front and our right and our top. And then we'll orient our view cube so that we're looking at it from the top down. We're going to sketch a center point circle. And this is going to be a diameter of 1.25. From there, we can click the green check. Let's go to our isometric so when we extrude, we can see what's going on. And before we do that, we need to know how much to extrude it. So looking at this view, we can see that bottom layer is 0.5 inches tall. So let's go back to OnShape, and we're going to extrude this 0.5 inches. 0.5, hit enter. You can see it got cut in half there. Click the green check, and we've got our bottom layer. From here, we're going to create a rectangular prism coming off the top of our cylinder. It looks like, now we have to do a little bit of math here, just looking at it. So we know that the whole thing is 2.5. The bottom layer is 0.5, and the top layer is 0.25. So based on that, 2.5 minus 0.5 would be 2, minus 0.25 is 1.75. So I know this rectangular prism is 1.75 from bottom to top, and the width, it looks like half of it, so from the center to the one side, to the right side, is 0.25. So I'm going to make the leap and say that it's 0.25 to both sides, since the drawing doesn't really tell us exactly, but it looks like it is centered. So we're going to go 0.25 here, 0.25 there, which makes a total of 0.5 for our width. Our depth is going to be the same. So it looks like it is a square. So we're going to do 0.5 by 0.5. And it's going to be 1.75 tall. Sorry, A lot of math there, but remember, planning is going to help you when you're modeling. So we'll create a new sketch. We're going to do it right on top of our original cylinder. And then we're going to orient our view cube so we're looking at it straight on. We're going to do a center point rectangle so that it stays centered on the origin. Let's go dimension it. It is 0.5 by 0.5. Click the green check. Shift 7 to go to your isometric view. And then we're going to extrude that up 1.75. So now that we did all our planning, we can just kind of cruise through that. Click the green check, finish it. And next, we're going to add this top little cylinder. So that is going to be the same diameter, 1.25. The thickness of this one, though, is going to be a little bit smaller. It's going to be 0.25 instead of the 0.5 we had at the bottom. So we'll create a new sketch where this one we're going to put at the top of our rectangular prism. And then we'll orient to the top view so we can look at it straight on. We're going to do a center point circle. This one is going to have a radius, or sorry, a diameter of 1.25, just like our other one. You can't even really see it unless you go to an isometric view, but you can see, yep, we've got our circle sketched. So we'll click the green check, then we'll extrude. This one's going to be extruded 0.25. And you'll notice that when I click this circle section, it kind of left the hole in the middle. So when it extrudes, if I click the green check, you're going to see, yeah, it's not doing quite what we want. We want this to be totally filled in, just like it is on our drawing here. So I'm going to open the extrude back up. So double click it, open it back up. And then we just need to click the center, like where that square shape is, so that it selects both of those faces. Now when I click the green check, it should join it all together. So there's one thing that I'm not really liking, and that's that it's not connected to our other things. You can see it's kind of a different color. So we got a gray part, and then we've got our other part. So I don't like that. I want to fix that so that it's all one part. And there's a little tool you can use. It's called the Boolean tool. So if you go to the search bar, we can search for Boolean, and that's Boolean. And we can perform what's called a union, and that's going to join two different parts together. So if we click there and there, it's going to make them both the same color. So if we want both of them to be blue, we can put the part 1 first instead of part 2. If we wanted part 2 to join to part 1, they'll both turn gray. So it just depends on the order. But as long as they're all the same color, the same part when you're done, you have been successful. So that's our basic shape. Now all we need to do is just add our little holes cut out here. So to do that, we're going to create a sketch on one of the faces of our rectangular prism. So I will click this one, and then from there, let's reorient to our front view. And then we're just going to sketch 3 circles kind of right in the middle. So you want to make sure it's aligned with the origin. If you draw it over here, it might get a little funky, and you're going to have a bad time. So let's create 3 center point circles, and you want to be kind of aligned with the origin. So when you get close, you should see this dotted yellow line. We'll just do that. And then if you kind of follow each one up, you'll get a new dotted yellow line that you can use to create the next circle. So just put 3 circles. They don't have to, the spacing doesn't have to be correct just yet. The size of each of these is going to be 0.25 diameter. So when you see this TYP, that means typical. So if you're missing it, like these ones don't have a diameter dimension, that's because that dimension is typical or it's normal for this drawing. So any ones that are unlabeled, you can assume they're going to be 0.25 as well. So all of our circles are going to be 0.25. So let's go ahead and dimension those right away. 0.25, 0.25, and 0.25. So those are all correctly sized now. Now we just need to dimension their location. So the first one's going to be 0.5 from the bottom, or really the top of your cylinder. The next one is going to be 0.5 from center to center. And then the third one is going to be 0.5 from center, the second one. So let's go from here to our center. We want that to be 0.5. And then from here to here, that's going to be 0.5 as well. And then we may be in trouble here because they're kind of out of whack. But this one is going to be 0.5 as well. And I think it's going to put it 0.5 below, which it did. So let's maybe double click this and let's see if negative 0.5 will do the trick. And it looks like it did. The reason I did negative, we wanted to reverse the direction of where it was. And yours maybe didn't do the same thing as mine. So when you did yours, 0.5 may have worked out just fine. If you ever want to flip it the other way, just throw a negative in there and it should fix it. So that looks pretty good. Let's click the green check and go to isometric. And we can see we've got all these circles. We just need to do an extrusion to cut those out. So click extrude, click all of your little circles. And you can see right away it wants to extrude those out. We don't want to add a shape, we want to remove a shape. So if you click remove, it should automatically do a 1-inch cut, which is fine for this instance. It's going to cut those out so you can kind of see. If this were thicker than 1 inch, then you would have a problem because it wouldn't go all the way through. And our drawing says, this drawing says we need to go all the way through the shape, which we are doing, but just to be safe, I want to show you something that you can do. If you do, instead of blind, so instead of a blind cut, we can do a through all. Then you don't even have to specify a dimension. It's just going to cut through everything in this direction. So that's actually what we do want according to the drawing. And then when we have that, we'll click the green check to finish it. So it looks like we did create our shape. Looks pretty nice. And it does look like it matches our drawing here. So that's how you create this shape. That'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel if you don't want to miss any of these videos. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.